Hi, welcome back to the channel. What I'm talking about today is my Himalayan 411. Yeah, you can see it. Now, I've had a bit of time on my hands just lately and I've been thinking about toing and froing with it. Should I keep it? Should I sell it? But I've got a few problems anyway as such with it. Nothing mechanical, bike runs perfect, can't fault it. Beautiful. My problem is with it, I spent so much on it, its value is worth at least double what you can sell it for. Plus, here in Bulgaria, if you've got a Royal Enfield and you want to sell it, forget it. Nobody wants them, nobody's interested, even the new models. The sales sites, we've got a site here called Mobile BG, is very similar to Auto Trader in the UK. It's full of them. And you could look now, and you could look in June this coming year, and you'll probably find the same bikes for sale. Just the Bulgarian mentality is, if it's anything smaller than 750, they wouldn't want to be seen on it. They've got have this thing, it's got to be 750, 1,000. If it's a road bike, it's got to be the biggest you can get. That's their choices, but they don't like Royal Enfield, so the chances of me selling it are pretty zero, really. Now, problems I've got is, I know people say they tore all over on them, which they do. I do. I've never seemed to have a problem actually outgoing, really. My problem is coming home, where you want to get on a bit, you just want to go home. And the fast roads. Now, we don't have too many motorways because they're all shut at the moment, because they're having them all rebuilt, or brand new ones rebuilt. Somebody in the government skimmed that much money off, like millions. I think they bought houses and boats or moved the money around. Anyway, it's been caught, I believe, but if you look all through the country, there's motorways half built all over the place, because obviously the contractors won't work unless they get paid. The roads, any road's a fast road, and as I live near the border, we're on the main routes to the ferry ports, so we have hundreds, if not thousands, that's no exaggeration, lorries in this area travelling every day. For one thing, they've knackered all the roads up, but these lorries is frightening. I ride, say, 5,000 revs on this, because it's back on stock gearing. Speedo will be showing about 90, 95 probably. You can go a little bit faster, but I do see people say, oh, there's no problem with the speed on these. You can ride at, well, if I looked at UK, this has got both on it. There's 70 miles an hour, which is just over 110 all day long, no problem. Well, I don't believe that myself. I don't see why yours does that and mine doesn't. Well, it will do it. But you put your sat-nav on when you're reading 70 and you're barely doing 60, believe me. The true speed on the sat-nav isn't the same speed as your clock's going to show. So really, if you're dogging on a bit with it, which is getting a fair bit of revs on, you're only really doing 60 miles an hour. The other thing I get a lot of is, you ride it on the back roads. Keep off the motorways, or even people that have to go on the motorways. Well, I've got no trouble, I just set my speed and I keep my distance from the lorries in front and all this. Doesn't work here. Same as I go to Romania, it don't work. Here, well, one thing, Bulgaria's got the worst rate for deaths on the road in Europe. It's frightening here. It is literally. This doesn't have the power to get out of the way of people. And if I'm going too slow, a car will be riding alongside you. And that's where it'll sit till it can overtake whatever in front. And it's the same when you meet a car coming towards you. He'd be overtaking the traffic and you're going down the road. And his idea is, well, he's on a bike, he can pull over to the side and I can get between him and the cars I'm passing. That's what their mentality is here, it's crazy. But the lorries is the most frightening thing. You can look in the mirror, you can see them coming. They're catching you up. And you could be doing like a genuine 100 kilometres an hour and they're still catching you up. Then the next thing, all you can see in the mirror is a massive great grill of a lorry and just start pipping the horn because you're in the way. That's what they do to you, and flashing the headlights at you. You ain't got the power to get out of the way of them. Now, I've done quite a lot of, well, I'm retired, I can do whatever I want when I want, and I go a lot of journeys into Romania, and there the roads are a lot better tarmac than we got and a lot faster. And it's the same there, lorries just got a job to do and want to get on, and you're always in their way. Now that's the only thing that bothers me with this bike. Now, like I say, I spent a fortune on it. This has got, I put Hitchcock valves in the engine, done the oil pump, drive chain and shimming it out as you hear. It's got YSS rear suspension, it's got all upgraded top quality bearings and everything, Renthal fat bars, blah, 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 blah. You know, I spent too much on the modifications, but it's my bike, I do as I wish with it like. And if I was just riding in the mountains and whatnot, I don't need nothing any faster than this. If I'm on the back roads that's out of the way, it's more than fast enough. It's just the big rides I do, which are all the time. That's what it seems to be getting now. People say, well, you bought the wrong bike, mate. Yes and no. I bought the bike because I like the look of this. Now, if anybody can put me onto a retro bike that's ADV, it looks like this, you tell me. Because they're calling a lot of the modern bikes ADV retro. They don't look like this, do they? You know, if I wished, I could go out to tomorrow and buy a new Himalayan 452. But it just don't float my boat, really. The only one I've looked at the light was the black gold rims. I thought that was quite a nice looking bike. But then again, I've looked at the ones that's like a pale white, sandy colour. I think, God, that's pig ugly, that is. This is to me. I know some of you got them and you like them, but to me, I just didn't like it. Or some of the other colours. So really, I'm looking at the 452 for only the colour. If it's not black, gold and gold rims, I don't want it. And I still wouldn't take it over this 411, except for it's faster. You know, people just got better suspension. It's only slightly better. Yeah, it's improved bike. It's got to be, and it's got more power. But it just doesn't do it. It's what does it for you, isn't it, really? Anyway, so it's going off what I'm thinking about here. So I've been tossing and turning in my mind about what to do with this. Shall I keep it? I can't sell it because nobody will buy it here. Then what happens? Royal Enfield bring out the Scram 440. Bit bigger bore, it's only horsepower more, but it's got more torque, but it's got a 6-speed gearbox. Fucking hell, great. So then my mind goes into overdrive as it normally does. And I'm thinking, well, I spent that much money on the one I've got. I can't sell it, so it's here for life, if you want to call it that. So I start looking around. I've already looked at big bore kits, Hitchcock and whatever. Now, one of the problems I got with this, it's a Euro 5, so the ECU is part of the throttle body on this. Now, they do reckon that somebody's done something that you can program now, but it's not guaranteed. And I talked to Hitchcocks about it, and they was like, we could provide some maps in something that might work, but we can't guarantee it's going to run as it should do. So it's not a guaranteed thing. You know, you don't want to be parting for money to put on something that doesn't run right. So I look around, and there's a company in India, I wrote it down so I could get it wrong, NMW Racing. They do 3 kits for this, the 450 kit, then there's a 471 kit, and then a 500 kit, big bore kit for the Himalayan. The 500 kit is quite extensive. You've got to have the crankcases machined out because the line is bigger to drop inside. The 471 kit, the barrel should be okay, but it's leaving it a bit thin because of how it's been bored out, I think. But the 450 kit is what I think is quite acceptable, and it's better for It's not that much bigger, but big enough to make a difference. And I think the Euro 5 ignition fueling, especially as I got X-Lite fuel module on this, should still operate within its parameters on a 450 kit. So that was the big bore kit. I thought, I'm going to have this. Now, the 6-speed box in the Scram 440, what we did, it looks exactly the same engine as the 411. So we sent an email to India direct to Royal Enfield, which the next day they replied. And I asked them will the parts be available to buy to convert the 411 to the same spec as the Scram 440? Now, if I buy the parts, I'll strip the motor, put whatever it needs in to make this into a 6-speed box. I know you can do the 16 tooth front sprocket, which people say makes a difference. Yeah, it does about 500 revs. I've done it and took it off again. The reason I took it off, because when you're off-road, and especially if you're in some sort of technical riding, you're on the clutch so much. Whereas second gear as standard, you could use the clutch, and where you need second and a bit of speed for a big hill or something, it's fine this. Or if it's real technical, you can be on the clutch in first, like trials type riding. Or when you're on the 16 tooth front sprocket, it puts first is like between first and second is between second and third. So off-road, you find, if you're doing proper off-road riding, the gearing is wrong then. The revs and the gearing is wrong. Second's too high, first can be too high. And also I found on the road with the 16 tooth sprocket, where this is in fifth and I want to overtake something, now this has got Tech Cam and X-Lite and it's quite lively for what you've got. I can just open the throttle and pass something. What I found with the 16 tooth sprocket, when I tried that, I used to have to drop down to fourth because it was like a big lag, really, in top gear, unless you was actually travelling at a good pace. And you'd be revving the guts out of it in fourth to change into fifth to pass something. It's like lorries here, everywhere's Arctics. But the worst thing is, you're behind a lorry, you catch something up and it looks like you're behind an Arctic. You pull out to overtake it and it's not an Arctic, it's like one of these lorries that's got a trailer on, so it's like a double Arctic, if you want to call it that. And all of a sudden what happens is you try to overtake a lorry, you can guarantee you look in your mirror, you'll have maybe a couple of cars behind you. And you're not flying past like they want to, and you can see in the distance there's traffic coming and they're pipping their horns at you. And you think, fucking hell, you know. This is why I don't like the 16 tooth sprocket. If you're out on your own, it's a big difference to riding the bike on your own to be in traffic. That's the problem. On your own is a different kettle of fish. But being in traffic, especially the crazy drivers here, that's the difference. So anyway, back to what? I sent an email to Royal Enfield in India, which they replied next day, very sorry, you won't be able to convert the old 411 engine. It's not just a case of replacing shafts and gears, the actual casings are different. The parts won't fit the 411 engine. Now I get Sue, she put up here somewhere, the email so you can read it yourself. This is direct from Royal Enfield. The parts will not fit the 411. So there's going to be no chance of doing a conversion on it. You know, for me, it'd have been engine out, complete strip down, split the engine, that don't bother me. If I could have done it, I'd have done it, and I think it would have made an excellent bike. It's just going to give you the edge on missing, but it ain't going to happen. I did send Hitchcock's an email and asked if they had got any thoughts on it. Are they going to be doing anything? It was a no from them as well. They're expecting quite a few people to be asking the same question, but they haven't got no thoughts on the future on it, but it turns out it ain't going to happen anyway. So I don't know what the difference is in the casings. You know, like you say, well, you could sell it and get yourself a Scram if you wanted to keep the old retro look. But if I can't sell the one I've got, and I've got too much money in this, you know, you're back to where are you like, isn't it really? So I don't really know. The other things with this is, I spent so much money on it. It does bug me a little bit, is I can't understand when the 411 come out, it was their most up-to-date engine that Enfield had ever done. You know, they got the new Gorilla out, 450 and what have you, and the new Himalayan, it's double overhead cam and what have you. Why they made it as they did, and why was it so coarse? I think it was just built for the Indian market. It wasn't actually specifically for Europe, and I think even they were shocked how popular it's been, and still is popular. People are rooting around trying to find new ones for sale still. The price makes a big thing on it, I must admit, but a lot of us older guys like this don't want to be tearing about, and you can do anything, go anywhere. No, they're just generally good bikes. But I don't think, when they built this, Royal Enfield themselves did a very good job on the engines at all. Now, for Christ's sake, it's over a cam, it should be nice and quiet. I know it's air-cooled, but it's anything but. This has done 12,000 kilometres now. 2,000 kilometres, I had to strip it because I was sick of it, rattling tappets. And there's another thing you see on the forums, isn't it? Oh, all Royal Enfields rattle and knock. No, they don't know. It's actually fished out my valves. That here is a brand new exhaust valve, genuine, not used it, perfectly flat on top. That was 2,000 kilometres on mine, look. If you look at that, you should be able to see it's dished inside. 2,000 kilometres rubbish. That was a 2,000 kilometre inlet valve, perfectly flat. Now, one of the problems was that the valves are very soft, 0.23. Exhaust gap is standard. It's too big. It's hammering the top of the valve. And the proof of that is because that is the inlet, 0.08 is still perfectly flat. The valves are made of the same material, same harden, or should be. Yeah, that one's still good. That one is absolutely knackered. That's his brand new one, never been used. I put Hitchcock valves in this, made of a lot better quality. I checked them, because I had the engine to pieces obviously, at 500 kilometres, didn't need adjusting. I've done just over 10,000 kilometres now since this was done, and I've checked them twice since and not had to adjust them. Now, let's fire her up, that's what she sounds like. Right, now people say that the Himalayan should be rattling and going too. That's mine. That's my hand over the exhaust. So, people say Himalayans rattle, that's how they all do. Load of crap, innit, eh? This don't rattle at all. But I've got my Bullet 500. Now this has done 18,000 kilometres, and yes, it's stone cold, not been started this morning. I'll just put the camera down because I need to put the clutch in. So you need three hands, you pull the clutch in, pull the fast idle in, knock that off. Right. Now listen to that. Nothing. Now, this is the last of the 500 UCE engines. Turn it off, it's going to gas me out. This is fully hydraulic tappets. You can't adjust the tappets at all on this. The model previous, you could adjust them taking this plate off because it's just the push rods in here. Now this is a push rod engine, not overhead cam. I have put new rocker arms on it and new, call them high performance push rods. They're aluminium, just a bit lighter, that's all. Put them on and listen to that. It's silky smooth. It's 500cc, it's got more torque than the Himalayan. And actual fact, on the road, this will sit as a genuine 70 miles an hour all day long if you wish. You know, I've done a quite extensive work to stop the vibration. I don't hardly get anything on this. You have to look on one of my previous videos to find out what I've done. But this is great motor. Yet, this is silky smooth, but the engine's a coarse on it. Modifying bikes and working on them is my thing, you know. Got my Interceptor here. It's only done 2,000 kilometres and I pulled it all to pieces and doing all sorts to it. You'll see this on a video finished before too long. So it's really knackered my plans up, this has. So I got it in my head, I was going to do a 6-speed conversion on this, of 6 gears. Leave it on the stock gearing, the 6th gearing is like your overdrive. It'd have made a world of difference. It'd have been a cracking bike. I'd have been so happy with it. Plus the other stuff I've done with suspension, I'd have had a tech cam in it, which the Scram doesn't have. X-Fuel light, which the Scram doesn't have. So I think it'd give me the edge I needed, but it ain't got it. So I'm back to square one. What am I gonna do, eh? I'd even part with it if I could find a genuine retro other brand, but I've looked at it, I can't see anything. You know, everything looks like a fucking spaceship, doesn't it? I'm not interested in TFTs and all the other crap, you know, where do you plug your T made into, and I want my phone linking to the dash. I don't want to fucking talk to nobody, do I? So, that thought's not working. There isn't going to be a 411 Himalayan bored at 450 with a 6-speed box. What a bike, but it ain't going to happen. It's either I do try and get rid of it and buy the 452 or I buy something similar in a different brand, but it's just not doing it for me. Or do I just keep it and risk it on the roads in the way of the lorries and the traffic here? It's like Death Race 2000 in Bulgaria. Mind you, Romania's no better. They seem to produce all the cars there, don't have any indicators. Anyway, just something for you to think about, and leave me your comments down below like you usually do and we can have a chat about it. But I'm a bit sick. I'd have been the perfect bike to me, this. Absolute perfect. It had a 6-speed box. I think it's going a bit beyond really what money I need to put into this to go and buy a Scram 440 engine direct from Royal Enfield when it's available. You must be able to buy a complete engine, but even then I'd want to put my tech cam in it and X-Lite and blah blah blah. You know, it'd be stupid money, wouldn't it really? Anyway, have a think, let me know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel, free. Got to keep the channel going, more subscribers, more views, because it is expensive running these channels, believe it or not. So subscribe and I'll see you in the next video, which hopefully should be pretty soon. See you again then. Cheers.